This is a moment for American leadership. A moment for America to show that it can honor its international treaty obligation.
Prince Harry?
Yes, sir.
How's he doing?
Not out of charity, but out of its own enduring role in global security and strategic stability.
How's his wife? Please give her my regards, okay? No?
The most powerful man on the planet just told the world everything you already knew about Harry and Meghan, and he did it without even trying. Donald Trump, President of the United States, was asked about Prince Harry, and instead of treating him like a dignitary, instead of treating him like royalty, instead of treating him like someone who matters, Trump responded with 5 words that should be echoing around the world right now. 5 words that summarize everything this audience has been saying for years.
He was speaking to somebody that had recently had a conversation with Trump, and they asked him about Prince Harry, and he said, "Can you take him back? He knows."
Can you take him back? Let that sit for a moment. The President of the United States looked at the situation Harry and Meghan have created, looked at the life they built on grievance, on betrayal, on burning down the institution that made them relevant, and his response was essentially, "Is this yours? Because nobody here wants it." This is not a diplomatic slight. This is not a misunderstanding. This is the most powerful political figure on earth publicly, openly, casually dismissing Prince Harry as someone else's problem. And the reason it lands so hard, the reason it cuts so deep, is because Trump didn't even need to be cruel about it. He didn't need to be strategic. He just said what he saw. A man who abandoned his country, exploited his family, and then turned up in America expecting to be treated like a statesman. And Trump said, no. Now here is where this story gets truly devastating, because it doesn't stop at the dismissal. What Trump did next is the part that should make Harry and Meghan's blood run cold. While he was brushing Harry aside like an inconvenience, Trump was simultaneously rolling out the red carpet for the people Harry left behind. William and Catherine. The Prince and Princess of Wales. The future King and Queen of England. Word is that Trump intends to invite William and Catherine to the White House. Think about what that means visually, symbolically, and politically. The White House, the most prestigious address on earth for a diplomatic visit, is being offered to the couple Harry spent years trying to undermine, overshadow, and publicly humiliate. The brother Harry accused, through carefully worded insinuation and tell-all television, of being cold, complicit, and part of the problem.
So, what we're seeing now isn't continuity. It looks a lot like a PR strategy, and that raises serious questions about Harry's intent, optics, and accountability.
William gets the White House. Harry gets, can you take him back? This audience has watched this story for years. You have watched Harry and Meghan make calculation after calculation, move after move, believing they could build something bigger than the institution they walked away from. They sat across from Oprah. They signed Netflix deals. They gave podcast interviews. They wrote memoirs. They did everything they could to position themselves as the alternative royal brand, the modern ones, the progressive ones, the ones America would love more than stuffy old Buckingham Palace. And now the President of the United States is inviting the stuffy old Buckingham Palace to the White House and asking if anyone can come collect Harry. Do you understand the magnitude of what just happened? This is not tabloid gossip. This is geopolitics. This is the leader of the free world making a public, definitive statement about who holds value and who does not. And Harry didn't even register as a genuine consideration. But wait, because this story has another layer. And this layer is what truly exposes how completely Harry has lost his grip on reality. Harry recently made a public plea to the United States about Ukraine. He inserted himself into one of the most complex, consequential geopolitical situations on Earth. A man with no official role, no elected mandate, no diplomatic standing, no government position. A man who is not a citizen of the United States and is not a representative of the United Kingdom, decided he had something important to say about the war in Ukraine and the United States' role in it.
President Putin, no nation benefits from the continued loss of life we are witnessing. There is still a moment now to stop this war.
Set aside for a moment whether you agree or disagree with his position. Set aside the substance entirely, because the substance is not the point. The point is the audacity, the sheer, staggering audacity of a man who gave up every official responsibility he ever had, who stepped back from royal duties, who abandoned his post, who left the institution that gave him purpose and platform, and then decided to use the remnants of that platform to wade into international diplomacy. Harry Sussex, private citizen, would like to address the United States government about Ukraine. And Trump's response? Trump's response is what this audience needs to memorize, because it is the most precise, most perfectly aimed rhetorical demolition you will ever hear.
Prince Harry?
Yes, sir.
How's he doing?
Didn't
How's
you
his
agree?
wife? Please give her my regards, okay? No?
Trump was asked about Harry's plea, and instead of engaging with it, instead of treating it as a serious contribution from a serious person, Trump said, "How's he doing? How's his wife? Please give her my regards." Read that again. Trump did not say, "I respectfully disagree." Trump did not say, "I have concerns about his position." Trump dismissed the entire intervention by asking about his wife, not even by name. His wife. The woman who, by the way, Harry has sacrificed everything for. The woman whose alleged mistreatment by the royal family was the justification for everything. Every leak, every interview, every burned bridge. Trump reduced Meghan to a social pleasantry. A "give her my regards," as if Harry had shown up with a casserole instead of geopolitical commentary. That is the kind of dismissal that does not recover from. That is the kind of public humiliation that defines a legacy. But Trump was not finished. Because when the follow-up came, when the questions circled back to Harry's right to speak on these issues, Trump said something that this channel has been saying in different words.
No, I don't know. I know one thing. Prince Harry is not speaking for the UK. That's for sure. I think I'm speaking for the UK more than Prince Harry.
He said, "I know one thing. Prince Harry is not speaking for the UK. That's for sure. I think I am speaking for the UK more than Prince Harry." Now. Some of you will roll your eyes at Trump claiming to speak for the UK. That is not the point. The point is what that statement reveals about how Harry is perceived at the highest levels of global power. Trump, a man who has strong opinions on everything and pulls no punches, looked at Prince Harry's attempt to position himself as a relevant voice on the world stage and said, "You represent nothing. You speak for no one. You are not even in the conversation." A man who gave up the right to speak for the United Kingdom in exchange for a life in California and now wants the credibility of that role without any of the responsibility, just got told by the President of the United States that the trade did not work out the way he planned. And here is the part that makes this so deeply, perfectly appropriate. Harry and Meghan left the royal family because, according to them, the institution was oppressive. It was racist. It was cold. It was crushing. They needed freedom. They needed to be able to speak their truth, to use their voices, to stand up on the world stage without the constraints of royal protocol holding them back. They wanted the platform without the palace. And now the platform is gone, because the platform was never theirs. It was borrowed. It was on loan from the institution they torched. The moment they walked away, the credibility walked with it. And no amount of Netflix deals, no number of podcast episodes, no memoir can replace what they threw away. Because the world was not interested in Harry and Meghan the brand. The world was interested in Harry and Meghan the royals. And those people no longer exist. Think about the timeline for a moment, because it matters. In 2020, Harry and Meghan stepped back and the world was told this was the beginning of something bold, something independent, something that would prove the institution wrong. The deals came, the interviews came, the Netflix documentary came, Spare came. And at every single stage, the people around them, the people in this audience, said, "This is not building something new. This is spending down an inheritance. This is cashing checks drawn on an account that was already closed." And now, 5 years on, we can see exactly how much was in that account and exactly how little is left. The Trump exchange did not create this reality. It simply made it impossible to deny. William and Catherine understood this. They stayed, they worked, they showed up when it was difficult and kept their heads down when it would have been easy and deeply satisfying to respond publicly to every accusation thrown at them. They absorbed the Oprah interview. They absorbed Spare. They absorbed season after season of Netflix documentaries, and they said nothing. They just continued to do the job, and now they are getting the White House invitation. This is how the world actually works. Not the version Harry and Meghan sold, where victims speak their truth and the world rallies around them, but the real version, where substance outlasts spectacle, where duty outlasts drama, where the people who stayed and served are ultimately the people who matter when the cameras finally focus on something that counts.
The headline is Harry and Meghan making their own rules. We're talking about how disrespectful they are to Queen Elizabeth, but that feels like a middle finger to King Charles.
William and Catherine did not campaign for this moment. They did not position themselves for it. They did not plant stories or brief journalists or engineer a narrative designed to make them look better by comparison. They simply remained what they always were, the people doing the actual work. And when a moment arrived that required the United States to identify who represents the crown, who holds relevance on the world stage, who is worth the weight of a White House invitation, the answer required no deliberation. It was obvious. It has always been obvious. Harry and Meghan made it more obvious with every move they made. Trump's words are not just a personal slight against Harry. They are a verdict. They are the international community's assessment, delivered without diplomacy, of what Harry and Meghan's choices have produced. A man asking if someone can take him back is not treating him as a dignitary. A man inviting his brother to the White House while publicly questioning Harry's relevance is not treating him as an equal. A man laughing off his geopolitical commentary with a "give her my regards" is not treating him as someone who belongs in that conversation. Harry is not in the room. He is not even at the door. And Meghan, for all the reinvention, all the lifestyle content, all the carefully curated Instagram aesthetic, is a social pleasantry. Give her my regards. That is what the presidency thinks of the couple who blew up the British monarchy in pursuit of American stardom. This is the consequence. Not imposed by the palace, not engineered by enemies, not the result of a racist institution or a cold family or a hostile British press. This is the direct, logical, perfectly traceable consequence of choices Harry and Meghan made, decisions they celebrated at the time, moves they were convinced were bold and brave and visionary. They chose California over the crown. They chose Netflix over duty. They chose grievance over grace. They chose the interview over the institution. And the institution is going to the White House. While the estranged prince is being asked if someone can come collect him, every single thing that has happened to Harry and Meghan since they walked away has been authored by Harry and Meghan. Every closed door was one they slammed themselves. Every lost opportunity was one they traded for a headline. Every dismissal, including this one, including Trump looking at Harry's plea about Ukraine and responding with a social pleasantry about his wife, is the harvest of seeds they planted with enormous confidence and absolutely no foresight. And here is what makes it complete. Here is what turns this from a setback into something more final. Harry and Meghan cannot course correct now. The moves they would need to make, the humility, the quiet return to service, the acknowledgement that the institution was not the enemy, are moves they have already made impossible. You cannot write spare and then ask for reconciliation. You cannot sit across from Oprah and describe the palace as a source of racism and cruelty and then expect the institution to rehabilitate your standing. You cannot spend 5 years positioning the royal family as your antagonists and then be surprised when the world treats the royal family as the legitimate party. Every door that might have remained open was nailed shut by the very strategy they used to fund their independence. They borrowed against the future to pay for the present, and the bill has arrived. Trump did not do this to Harry. Harry did this to Harry. William and Catherine did not steal Trump's invitation. Harry gave it away, voluntarily, publicly, on camera, multiple times, while the whole world watched and this audience said exactly what was going to happen next. You knew. You always knew. And now the President of the United States agrees with you. If you've been watching this story unfold and you knew from the beginning how it would end, you belong here. Palace Leaks covers what the mainstream press is too polite to say plainly. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this story is far from over and every new chapter proves the point.